Oh, hey there, pals. Wow, I got you like right off the bat. This is great.
Well, I was looking into the camera, so I didn't know what you did, but all I hear was like this scuttling and then, oh, hey there, pals.
Yeah, I had to get in my drawer real quick. But anyways, welcome to the Pullbox Pals. We're on episode 89. It's a hefty number.
And can I tell you, it is my favorite number.
You've mentioned this before.
I know. So I've been looking forward to this episode for a long time. I wish I had better comics to talk about. Not that I have like bad, but I was hoping that this episode I would be like, just like, and this banger, you know? But
Bang, bang, bang.
I read some good comics this week, so we will talk about them. But have either of us said our names yet?
Nope. I'm Matt, and this is Monk over here, and we're just getting right into it.
That's right. They call me Monk over here.
I was telling Monk before we went live. I'm pretty jazzed today. I've been like working pretty hard the last 2 days, and today I've just been like flying around, like getting errands and stuff taken care of. So I got a lot of juice right now.
Yeah, you feeling productive? You're feeling up, ready to go,
and the sun's out, and it's nice.
Oh man, the sun was out here for a hot minute this morning for like 2 hours, and then it rained real hard for like an hour, and now it's just been overcast. And it's supposed to rain like the next 2 days. It was beautiful Monday. It was like literally like half the week. So like Monday, Tuesday was beautiful, and then like at noon today is when it started raining. So like, I'll take a half and half.
We're in that season, at least it sounds similar, but we're in that season in Oregon where the weather's just like playing jokes on us, where it's like it's forecasted sunny all day, but oh, here's some rain for you. Here you go, all afternoon.
Yeah, and and again, like I'm sure I'm not the only person in the world that's doing this, but like you go to work in a jacket, and then you leave work and you leave your jacket there because you haven't been wearing it all day.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
don't forget your jacket, man.
Can't do it. It's a beginner's move,
especially when you only have the one jacket.
I mean, I got more than one, but then the issue becomes you're wearing you have two jackets then at the office, You
got two jackets in use at the moment, but one is inaccessible.
Yeah, and then what do? When I walk out, I wear two jackets, look like a fool, or I can just drape one over my arm and look like somebody who's clearly just forgot his coat at work.
Go early 90s and strap that baby around your waist.
No, I've never been a fan of that fashion trend. Do you remember when in my school it was mostly just girls who did this, and you can do whatever you want and you can be whoever you want, but I'm gonna make fun of you sometimes. And I had a friend who would do that thing where like they would put their like sweatshirt on backwards. That like, did girls do that in your school? So like girls would like put their sweatshirts on backwards, but like only like up to their shoulders, and then just kind of wear it like that.
Oh, yeah. No, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's a 90s trend that didn't come back. Or maybe it did. I'm also not hanging out with like a lot of high schoolers. Do you see your son doing that, or anyone he's associated with? Associated with? Does your teenage son have associates?
He has associates, yeah.
Oh, that's good.
That's good. No, they're not doing that.
No,
he's into like my son has like the best fashion in the family. Like I do fit checks with him all the time. Like, hey, can I go out like this?
What does he say?
Like he'll give me an honest opinion, which I appreciate. It's like, no, like change your shoes, or not that hat with that shirt. Like he's just straight up like tells me, but like he just has such a great fashion sense, and yeah, he's got that, and he is the fastest middle schooler on record on the West Coast.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He's I think he's number 2 in the state of Oregon for like the 100-meter dash. And he's number 13 in the nation. And he's the only person in like the top 25 that's west of the Mississippi.
Really?
Yeah.
You would think a lot of that would be in California, but
You
wow.
would think, but no, like, you know, those kids who eat like dirt in Oklahoma, like they're real fast. Kids in
No
Georgia.
offense to anybody listening in Oklahoma.
I just more mean like that red dirt soil. Like I think it just
Mm.
adds something to their nutrition. But like,
Well, the ground's
like,
hot, so they got to run fast because they're not wearing shoes.
But yeah,
They're dirt eaters.
super proud of him. He's ranked in like pretty high up in like 4 categories for his age level, and it's pretty cool.
I think if I ran right now, my heart would explode. So good on him.
Yeah, no, I can still there. So my town does this thing every year. I've never done it, but I do it often. But it's called a couch to 5K.
Oh,
people who don't run.
Okay.
And you just, so it's, you know, you're getting off the couch and you're going around in a 5K, which is, I think, like approximately it's like probably 3 miles, 3 or 4 miles.
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
I've only ever just heard that and I've been like, wow, multiple of a K. That's impressive.
There was a day where like my, you know, changing feet to meters and all that, like just worked in my head a lot more swiftly. But these
probably
days,
when you were closer to school, when you used it a little bit more. But speaking of weird niche jogging things, my town is pretty, I won't say famous, but there's a brewery here that gets a lot of foot traffic and brings a lot of tourism to town. It's called Yingling. I don't think it's
I know Yingling. Yeah.
Okay. So the main brewery, well, not the main one, the big factory is down in Florida, but the one that the original one is here in Pottsville. And I am completely forgetting why I'm telling this story. Oh my gosh, what were you just talking?
It's the fastest brewery in the West.
The weird races. Oh, that was terrifying. I thought I was going to forget that. They're doing this thing on 420, which I think is ironic, called the Lager Jogger. They do it every year, which is where people run. I think it's a 5K. I don't. Again, I have no idea. But they hand out like beer along the run, which sounds like the worst thing that you could possibly do is run and then just throw like heavy carbs, lagers into your stomach. You know?
Yeah, oh, man, I can't.
I've always been against it.
There's a marathon back home in Idaho. I can't remember what it's called. It's not coming to me, but at the halfway point, there's this thing called the Tent of Temptation.
Ooh.
And it's essentially just like a smoker's lounge bar. So they offer like cigars and cigarettes and all this different alcohol. And like, so you can stop and take a break and get hammered and go finish your run if you want.
Wow, that's silly. I had the thought the other day that I'm like, if I ever get in like really into exercising, I'm still gonna vape while I exercise so that my body thinks that this is like the normal thing, that this is normal life for me, and then I'll be strong and invincible, right? That's how that works.
Yeah. That it works just like that. Yeah.
You know, or just imagine me smoking a cigarette on a treadmill. That's a 90s thing. I would imagine that happened a lot in the 90s.
That reminds me of like that Mitch Hedberg joke about like the onion ring and the carrot. And it's like, if there's a party in your stomach and the carrot's just like, it's cool to onion rings with me.
Yeah, I'm literally using that logic. But I have one question for you that is of vital importance.
Okay. What is it? What you got?
Did you make it to your comic shop this week?
I did, but shouldn't you be going first?
Yeah. But I just wanted to know, even though I already do know. Dang it. How about, all right, now you set it up.
I got a vital, important question for you. Did you make it to your comic shop this week?
Oh, I sure did, buddy. I sure did, pal.
All right.
I would say 89 episodes in, and we finally, even though I just screwed up, we're a little bit better at calling each other pal. We've integrated it a little bit more into our everyday vocabulary. And speaking of integrating things, here is the Transformers number 7, which is
I
technically
like that cover.
it is a good one. They're on a
Yeah.
giant thing, and they're giant. So like
A
how giant?
turbine.
Yeah, sure. But like that's a turbo turbine if I had to put any money on it, if I had to quantify anything. Um, so this is technically the beginning of the second arc,
Oh
but like
wow.
nothing, yeah, like there was some things that solidified it was the end of the arc, but nothing that was like anything more than just a normal episode cliffhanger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like it when I saw that it was issue number 7 today, I asked my guy, I'm like, "Is this still technically issue or the first arc?" And he was like, "No, this is the beginning of the second." I'm like, "Well, what? Like, why did they just decide to like jump off?" That's a thing for this year. Is just weird arc. I guess people they heard us talking about how trying to switch it up a little bit, and they're
Yeah.
just going ham. But this next one, I believe you would have gotten, and I almost missed it. I was on like the last rounds of looking at the shelves, and I was like, "Oh no, I don't want to miss that," because I would probably, if I did, I would cut out a portion of my head, just like this duck on the cover
Hmm.
of Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, number 5.
Yeah. I should have that digitally.
Okay,
It should be already be on my Kindle.
good. Kindles are awful. I just want to continue to do the opposite of a shout out.
I should say Kindle app. My Kindle
Okay, there you
app.
go. I have a
Yeah.
Kindle, so I just want to let everyone know never get a Kindle. They're cheap and you think they're going to be okay, but they're not. So just
What kind of Kindle are you talking about though?
Kindle Fire. Like I have like a tab.
Oh,
It's like a
but
tablet.
yeah, no, those are terrible. I
Yep.
had like one of the first ones and it was just like super slow, like nothing ever loaded on it.
Yeah, because they try to run like a video ad on the home screen. So you're like
Yeah.
trying to like open the home screen and it's like, I'm gonna play a video. It's just like, well, why do you think that like me opening this and you booting up a video is gonna be the most like the smartest use of your resources internally, you know?
Yeah, because
I know how computer stuff
we have a
works.
Kindle Paperwhite and I actually like really enjoy that.
Yeah, those are great. But once they went into like the actual tablet game, went downhill.
Yeah,
But something
absolutely.
that hasn't been going downhill and has only been going uphill and looks like it's pointing at you is Dark Spaces Dungeons. Oh, I think this is number 5. Number 5. Oh,
Wow.
yeah, these are like I
So
oh,
is that the end of the arc?
only one way to find out, and it's to be brave and look at the end.
Yeah, because
Uh
I'm gonna get the
I
trade
think
for that one.
maybe, and maybe I might have spoiled it for myself. So I hope that this isn't the end, but we'll find out. Um, I'll let you know next week.
Sounds good.
But yeah, I mean these all the so including this next comic that I'm about to show, all of these are like comics that I've been stoked on. So that's something that's nice about episode 89. Something I can look back on with pride is these pools were really good this week. And this is
Right.
something that else I think you would have got
I
Little
do.
Black Book.
I got it sitting right here. I got all.
We get the same cover.
Yep.
Yes, sir, we do.
I'm actually really excited about this one because like issue one just left with so many like questions
Oh yeah.
that I'm really excited to get into this one.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I'm excited for all those, and especially Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. I almost read that before coming on here, but like I didn't want to like put myself in the position to potentially spoil anything, you know.
Yeah.
So, and the last one I got, yeah, I would have hoped that you would have gotten this, but I don't think that I don't know because this is a weird publisher. Is Ahoy? It is Dead
Yeah.
Weight, and yeah, the art is by Sebastian Perez, who's somebody that I've always just like been such a huge fan of their art. Trying to find like a good page. This is fine. But yeah, I mean it's just good and it's like original, has its own little touch to it.
Mhm.
I have no idea what the story is about or anything. Is there life after supervillainy? I guess it would be just the dead weights. They're not, you know, they're dried up, they're washed up has-beens in the supervillain game.
Mm.
So again, I'm just assuming that off of the tagline. So we'll find
Nice.
out. But yeah, all good pulls this week. I'm very excited. But I do have
Nice.
one vital, important question for you, matey.
Yeah. What's up?
Do you believe in God? uh, but I'll take my answer off, Mike. But in the meantime, did you make it to your comic shop this week, knowing
I made it to
multiple
my
times you
comic
do?
shop this week.
I'm
Yes.
so proud of you.
Uh, and I've already shown 1/3 of my polls.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't have a very big list today. And then
So
today was
3?
another. I only
4?
got three today.
Well, you got one digitally.
Well, I guess I got 4. So yeah. But
So
this is
what's the
one of
math
those
on that
days where
one?
I went to my shop and I was just like
50%.
fairly disappointed by like the new comics on the shelf.
Yeah, I mean, besides all these ones I got, I wasn't like there was only one new one that I picked up. There was like a couple new ones, but I'm just like I opened one and it was just like Dialogue City, and so I'm just like I don't feel like dealing with this.
Yeah. I more mean that like just the variety because I've griped about this before, but like there's just not much of a comic culture in my town. Like nobody cares here.
Yeah.
And so there just wasn't a whole lot on the shelf today to like unless I wanted something Marvel and DC, which yeah, some of those were alluring, but those are going on the back burner for me when I want to hit up the Marvel Unlimited app or whatever the DC one is.
DC
And
Unlimited.
there just wasn't a whole lot of like
Oh,
indie
that's
stuff,
terrible.
and there was like some indie stuff that I was hoping to see on the shelf today that just wasn't there.
Mm.
So I might have to hit up Coffee and a Comic and get some.
Yeah, I mean, I really think that's kind of how I'm feeling. Is like I just need to like hit up some like indie site. I'm trying to remember I got that comic that is up on my wall, Real Gamer Hours. I forget
Mhm.
what publisher put that out, but they had a bunch of interesting comics. So I might like just look into that and just buy like next time I have like just some cash to throw away, just do a
Yeah,
big old order, get free shipping, something like that. So,
yeah.
oh,
Oh,
Russ jumped in and said that he picked up Silicone Bandits. Looked good. I think I saw that on the shelf, but
if I can remember what the cover looks like, I think that's one of the ones I was hoping to see on my shelf, and they didn't have it.
that's a bummer.
Um, but anyways, the rest of my polls, they're both from the Star Wars universe.
Star
So
Wars.
I got Darth Vader 45, and this is the best cover of the series, I guarantee you, for Thrawn Alliances issue number 4.
That's pretty dope.
I really like this cover a lot. It's So that's it. That's all I have for today. So see you later. Bye bye.
Goodbye. I wish they put I mean, I know we always talk about this, but I wish they put like the name of whatever that arc is on that cover. Maybe they did and I didn't notice it, but
Well, I mean, this Thrawn Alliances is based on a book story, so like, that's already novelized.
mm,
So
yeah, but put it on the cover. Like in a cool font.
it would be cool. I wonder if there's any cool variants for it that's kind of like
Old
has
schooly, because
old,
the
all
old
old story.
Star Wars comic, like the Marvel, like olden Marvel comics are really cool looking. So I wish that they would kind of go back to a little bit more of that aesthetic, but it is
Yeah,
of a bygone era that I don't think Marvel is really interesting touching with. They're not really diving into any of the '90s trends. I don't feel, that I'm
yeah.
aware of.
No,
Ross, sound off in the
they
comments if they are.
they are when they. So this is what kind of came to mind for me. Whenever there's a variant of I think they're mainly doing this with the Amazing Spider-Man run, but like they've been doing these like throwback variant covers
Hmm.
where it's Disney characters on a classic cover.
Okay.
I
I
have a
think
few
you
of them.
Yeah,
Um,
I vaguely remember that.
yeah, so like that's pretty cool, but like I do want to see more of like what we talked about a couple weeks ago, like with my Penguin cover, because we were talking about like, man, Marvel just needs to start throwing back like, having the characters talking on the cover or like
Mhm.
throwing the like something that has to do with the story on the front.
Yeah.
Because like I go through a lot of like with the shop, I go through a lot of old Marvel comics, and the covers are just brilliant, just because like there's a
You
some
feel like
little
you're looking
blurb.
at a panel, like,
Yeah,
that's a good one is, like, you're looking at a panel that didn't happen, you know?
yeah.
So, like, I'm always a fan of that.
And like
Oh,
even today, like two of the things I looked at on the shelf.
Ross has been keeping
Uh,
up with the early 90s Masterpiece covers as well. And
nice.
there's no surprise there. If there's a comic to be had, Ross has it.
Ross got them all. He bought every single one.
Well, I was gonna say he's the Ash Ketchum of of comic books, but Ash didn't really catch that many Pokemon. It's kind of embarrassing how many Pokemon he caught, considering every week he saw a new Pokemon. You know?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Like,
Gotta catch them all.
two comics that were on the shelf today, like, was the new ASM that came out today, and then the new Ultimate series, Black Panther #1, I think, came out today. And there was two Peach Momoko variants for each one, and I was just like, do you know Peach Momoko?
No. What's a Peach
I think I'm saying her
Momoko?
name right.
Oh.
She's like primarily a cover artist.
Oh, okay.
But she does have like her own comics that she's written and ones that she's illustrated.
Peach what?
Momoko?
Momo.
Like
Okay.
Momoko or Momoko.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen this style before. Or not like style, but like it kind of looks a lot like what's that vampire? Little Monsters? Yeah.
So she has really good covers, and I was just like, I don't want to just buy these for the cover right now. My brother's recently gotten back into comics, which is awesome. I have that Moon Knight. I have a few of her covers, but like, and a lot of her covers do really well, like in aftermarket.
I mean, yeah, that's fantastic.
But I just knew if I got that ASM or if I got that Black Panther, I probably won't end up reading them, at least for a long time. And I'd rather just save money for down the road. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel that. I'm not really at a place, and it has less to do with like finances, but it's more of just like, well, we'll get into it later, but like, I'm not at a place where I really want to like spend money on comics that I'll get to eventually, because I'm just discovering I never really get to them. But like I said, I actually did get to some comics this week that I had sitting in hidden places. So we'll get to that later. There's a little sizzle for 20 minutes from now.
A little sizzle.
But do you want to go first and telling your comics, or should I go first?
Why don't you go? Well, you should go first. Yeah, we don't have any crossover today, but usually whoever tells it first goes first. So that's you.
I'm glad you know what's going on. I'm knocking over my vape. Everything's
I got things
terrible.
straight today. I'm gonna go ahead and say this on record. I think last week was my worst episode.
I don't think so.
I was so exhausted.
I'm trying to. There was a funny bit. The funny bit was you doing the intro and not me when I was supposed to do it. I almost made that the clip for the week. I thought it was so funny, but it was kind of hard to like make that into a clip.
But just like, and I know this isn't like unusual, but like I kept not like, usually I just say people's names wrong. I was giving people entirely different names.
Well, those are their new names now. I hope that they enjoy them. But the first comic that I got into was something that was just a lot of fun. Property that I'm super happy is getting a lot of like traction right now. Godzilla being that property in particular, but Godzilla versus Mighty Morphin Power Rangers #2, issue #1. This has just like been like the most confusing thing for me to say and to like type.
Can you hold up the cover one more time?
Yeah, I can hold up the cover one more time. It's a dope cover. I love it.
I like that cover is super rad. Very, very Godzilla, very Power Rangers.
Yeah, and
nailed it.
I mean, even has Godzilla on the top and the Power Rangers. I mean, that makes sense. Godzilla is a giant monster.
And this is the second one, right? Like the second, yeah.
There's a 2 over here. Yeah. But yeah, it seems to pick up after the first arc. So in the first arc, Rita goes into this parallel universe because she hears that like they have monsters, and so she's gonna try to bring them back into like the main. I don't know what the deal is with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I know they have like kind of a run that's either just started or is on issue 2 or something like that. But I don't. This is just this story. This is a standalone Mighty Morphin Power Rangers thing, and the main universe, she's yeah, she goes out of that into a universe where there's a King Kong, or not a King Kong, a Godzilla, and she tries to like make Godzilla work on her side, which works for a bit, and then obviously like they team up and they send her kind of like spiraling through dimensions. And as she's doing that, she ends up in a universe where there is a White Ranger. That's why the White Ranger was on the cover, and
Mm-hmm.
so they end up going back to either the main universe or into the universe with Godzilla, something like that. And the other Power Rangers are like, we don't have a white one. So like that was kind of really cool way for them to like introduce that character. I don't know its backstory like in lore if he is a different dimensional thing. Again, Ross, sign off in the comments. I feel like you might know if the White Ranger is interdimensional or if he's
Yeah.
if
No,
they're
like
from the
seriously though,
planet.
like Power Rangers is like a comic that I wish I had been keeping up with over the years. It's just it's so far into it, and there's so much built up lore now that it's starting to feel a bit how I feel about a lot of like Marvel and DC stuff,
Mhm.
where it's
That's how
like
I
if
feel
you
about Sonic. I'm reading it. I'm
yeah
just like, there's so much stuff.
yeah
Y'all love a mashup. Yeah, I mean, our buddy Eric says y'all love a mashup, and we sure do. I mean, I mean, Godzilla versus Power Rangers. Those are two cool properties that I don't. I guess you would kind of think that they're put together because they're both Japanese, you know.
yeah. Well, it's just I love any crossover with the Ninja Turtles. Like I pick those things up. Um, I have Stranger Things. I have something from the like I'm sure you don't know what this is, but Creed was this like kind of
The
big
band.
indie comic. No.
No. I thought you were gonna
Um
say this big indie band.
it's
Like,
a character. Yeah,
hello.
it's this kid who I'm trying how do you explain this?
I don't know.
He he has like kind of powers in like a dream world. So like I think it's when he dreams, like he becomes like this kind of
Turtle.
create like super powered character.
Mm.
But he has a crossover. I have the Archie crossover with Ninja Turtles. I got I got a lot of Ninja Turtle crossovers
Yeah, crossovers out the
and
crossover.
out the wazoo. Yeah.
Yeah.
But speaking
It's
of Ninja Turtles, I'm really excited for Jason Aaron's run to pick up on that.
yeah, when does that start?
I think June or July is when it releases, possibly even sooner.
Justice League. Eric said Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong. Have you checked that out? I know it's
I
got
want to.
DC stank on it, but it's Godzilla. It's not that DC has stank. It's just that I don't ever look at those shelves, probably because they got stank. No, I'm just kidding. Um, I'm just kidding. No, but I will like I'll I saw that I thought that this was coming out as a series. I guess it might have come out just as a trade paperback, but there was Godzilla. I know we're not really talking about the comic that I was uh there be yeah. So I guess it did come out in single issues, but there was this Godzilla series that I believe was out this year, but I didn't see it at my shop. I just saw the trade paperback actually today, and I almost picked it up. It's called Godzilla Here There Be Dragons, and I love uh like pirates. And so even though like Godzilla is technically supposed to be like of World War II era,
Yeah.
I'll take Godzilla back in time. You know, who cares? It doesn't matter. Godzilla. That's what I love about Godzilla is you can do whatever with them. You know,
Yeah.
so and including have him team up with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So yeah, I think it's fun. It's kind of one of those comics that's like hard to follow because the art is like so bombastic that you're like
Hmm.
things are kind of melding into each other. But now that I'm looking at it, it's actually this one's not so bad. But like a page like this, you can kind of see where it's a little bit hard to get or a little bit easy to get lost in like who's where and what's happening,
Yeah.
especially because you're following a lot of people doing a lot of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. There was a reason it was my first comic that I talked about this week. I wouldn't say it was a banger, man. I still another week where I don't really have any bangers. They're
Yeah.
good, enjoyable, but nothing that like made me take my socks off, and wiggle
Yeah.
my toes in the open air.
I yeah, I think I've had one banger so far this year.
Oof.
And I believe it was the Coven, Granite State Puck, the Coven.
I mean, that was a really good comic, so that makes sense.
So
I mean,
good.
yeah, just even thinking about it now, I'm just like, that's a good comic, and
Yeah.
I mean, that's where it is. It's just like yeah. Again, I feel like we just say this every week. It's not that we don't like the big two. It's just we find more satisfaction for some reason in just diving into stories that are just super independent, and I mean independent insofar as they're not relying on anything but the story itself.
Yeah.
As I'm talking about Godzilla and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
pretty
So,
pretty big IPs there.
oh yeah, bigger
Yeah.
IPs than I'm trying to Italian planets. I don't know. I'm struggling here. Why don't you talk for a little bit? What's going on in Mad's world?
Yeah. So
It's
one thing
Mad's
one
world.
thing I had the pleasure of reading this week was
Wait, hold on a second. I started singing Man's
oh
World or whatever, but there is a song called Mad World, isn't there?
yes.
Okay, yeah. I'm sorry. Continue.
So I had the pleasure of reading something from a pal of ours this week called
Ooh.
and it's not just our pal, it's our pal and his spouse. Can I Scream? Jonathan Hedrick and his wonderful wife Francesca Fantini. Um, she's a great artist.
Mhm.
She has some stuff that she's illustrated for Scout that I've read. There's a few other things from some other smaller indie publishers, but she's just a fantastic artist, and it was really cool to see them like team up and have a comic together.
Mhm.
I'm not certain. I'll ask Jonathan if they've collaborated before, but I'm not certain that they have. So it was cool to see them put this out, and the story was just like really like fun because you don't know what's going on. Like, and like when Jonathan writes a comic, his stories always leave you with like wanting more, and that's exactly how I felt. And this one ended with like the end question mark.
Mm.
So I'm not certain if this is a one shot or not. It doesn't say it, and I don't actually know. I'll have to ask him if there's more coming of this. But essentially, what's going on in this one is there's this kid. I can't remember his name. Let me see if I can figure it out. Thomas.
Thomas.
Uh, he's an 11-year-old kid who he's been in and out of like different schools because he has an ability that nobody else has.
Ooh.
When he screams, he can scream your head off.
He's like a Black Bolt
Yeah, like exactly.
or a Cyclops if his eyes were mouths.
And his mom is just trying to protect him, but like it opens up with like essentially these two bullies were bullying him at school, and like they punched him and he screamed, and they got thrown out into like some trees and got like really injured and
Mm.
nearly killed them. And so they're talking about like suspending him, and the mom's just like, you know what, screw you, school, like we're out. And but they need to get out anyway because his location's been revealed. And so there's this like organization that, there's a question about that as well, as like who's after him and who's after his wife. And then she's also like communicating with, I assume, is Thomas's dad about
Mhm.
like where to relocate to and how to get like new names and all that. But it was just really thrilling. Francesca's art was just like absolutely perfect for Jonathan's writing. uh I really really enjoyed it. It came out from Keen Spot, which I don't get a whole lot of stuff from Keen Spot. You've gotten a few things from Keen Spot, haven't you?
Yeah, I think like 2, but I only ever see like issues 1 and 2 in my shop, and then I feel like the guy's like, nobody picked this up besides Monk. It just
Yeah.
doesn't get more. Or or maybe I don't know what happens. Maybe I just miss them. Maybe I fall off of them. Maybe it's
But,
me.
but yeah, so like they essentially are just like continuously having to live off grid. And then like one of the funny parts in it too is like uh this like essentially a SWAT team came after them at towards the end of it.
Yeah.
And like the last one of them was just like looking at the mom like, how can you stand his screaming? And she's like, oh, I'm deaf.
Oh,
It's
well,
like,
there you
oh,
go.
that makes sense, like as to why. So I guess you have to be able to hear in order for his power to impact you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how does that doesn't because yeah, okay. See if that one gets elaborated because
Yeah.
you know,
But no, I again really enjoyed it.
nice.
There's nothing that Hedrick's put out that I haven't enjoyed since we've gotten
Hmm.
to know him and
Same.
started reading his comics. So You can check that one out. There's, I believe,
www.
oh,
Jonathan Hendricks. Yeah.
it is currently sold out on the Keen Spot website, so
Oh,
that's good
wow.
for them.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, I feel like he's starting to become a known name, you know?
Yeah.
So he's
That's,
working all over the shop. So good
you
on
want to
him. He
get me
deserves
back
it.
into DC? Give me
He,
Jonathan Hedrick writing for DC.
that's what I'm saying. Throw him
Yeah.
a Blue Beetle.
And I would, man, yeah, no, I
No,
would
no, I
want
want
him
a
to.
John Constantine. I want him on John Constantine.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
All right, we figured it out. Or like a Dr. Fate. Something dark Justice League.
yeah, absolutely.
Something where there's a monster involved. And it goes.
But yeah, so if you can snag that one and help our pal Hedrick out, go get it.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I agree with you. Another comic that I maybe you should check out, but maybe you should wait until there's a weird size trade paperback. It is The Last Mermaid #2 with this cute little fella on the cover. So
I'm gonna go off
last issue.
camera real quick. You keep talking.
Okay, no problem, and you'll still be able to hear me, right? Yeah, okay. He muted his mic. That was smart. So in the first issue of The Last Mermaid, we just have the Last Mermaid with her little companion that's on the front here, in like this mech suit. She's got like a big bubble that's filled with water, but like if you keep a fish in just a normal tank, it gets dirty. You have to clean the water. So the same thing's happening there. And this is like a post-apocalyptic Earth, and we don't really know much about the world other than like it's clearly been like really screwed up. And so she goes and she's like passing out and she falls and she breaks her tank. All the water spills out and somehow she ends up in like an ocean. She finds herself like back into like a big puddle of water. So she's swimming around and she's trying to fix the how do you say that fix the machine that she's in. And after she does that, she's taking it on like a test drive, and she discovers that the area that she's in, the reason that like she makes this offhanded comment about like, oh, I'm surprised no like gangs have claimed this, like gangs of mutants. I think she says like gangs of mutants have claimed this area, so there must be like wandering, whatever, I think my problem with this comic, I'm like enjoying it. I really like everything that's doing. I wish I knew more about the world. And I think it's only going to be 3 issues. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but if it wraps up the next issue, I feel like the pacing on this has been very rapid. So like there's a very little dialogue, which I enjoy. The art is beautiful, which I enjoy. So like the whole thing is great, but the world is just so beggars can't be choosers. But here I am. I'm on a podcast. I can say whatever I want. I sometimes I'm always talking about keep it smaller, but like I really like this concept. I really like the art. So I wish there was more of it. But yeah, I'm just happy to be getting what I can.
No, that's like the cover art for this series has been really drawing, and it's something I do wish that I had hopped on. Just honestly for the covers. Let's see, I'm looking. The Secret Source shows that there's 4 issues.
Okay, so there is more. I kind of figured
it's your perfect number there.
Well, I mean, I think there might be more because again, there's just seems to be a whole lot going on here, but like very little is covered in this. So yeah, okay, sweet. I'm a little upset about that because that means I'm gonna have to store some weird shape potentially like 4 to 6 weird shaped comics somewhere, which means unless I like fall in love with it, somebody's gonna be getting it as a gift.
Wait, Last Mermaid's a weird shaped comic?
Yeah, it's like a square. Here's a normal comic for comparison.
Huh.
Yeah. We talked about this.
We did. Yeah, I kind of forgot it was that one. That's that's interesting.
It is interesting.
Is it like perfectly square?
I mean, I don't have a ruler. No, it's not. If you turn it sideways, the angles don't all be a square.
Yeah, because you'll probably have to get like the magazine boards and bags.
Yeah,
but like then you got all that empty white space with all the extra board.
Yeah,
I guess you could just like modify
Or I
that
could
board and
give them
bag,
to a friend,
or you
or
can give them
sell
to
them on the
pass them
internet.
along.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
That's what I did with Fallen, which is something Ross got me on. I was just like, it's a Red 5 comic. Like most people don't know who Red 5 is. It was like, buddy, pal, hey pal, you need to read Fallen. You're gonna love it. And he's, as far as I know, he's reading it, but I don't have my Fallen comics because I passed him on.
there you go. We've gone full circles. Any comics that you'd like to spot out, shout out, spot out,
Spot out, shout out.
shout out, spot out,
Yeah.
spotlight?
So
Did I even say spotlight and all that?
here's something I want to talk about.
Oh wait,
So
I
this,
did too. Yeah, you can do too. I'm jumping right into the spotlight, shout out, spotlight section. My
yeah,
goodness.
we're just well, I'm gonna talk about what I can.
Yeah, just review some
I
comics.
only read like 5 or 6 comics this last week. So I picked up Redcoat off the shelf last week. I didn't know that it was like tied with so the Jeff Johns, like he had like I think 3 comics released last week. They're all tied together through this like ghost machine.
Okay.
And I really liked Redcoat, but I think that I'm just like tired of all this like big universe, like multiple series coming out.
I mean, that's kind of why you're not on the Transformers Dukes.
It's why I'm not on Transformers and GI Joe. It's why I don't pick up a lot of like Marvel right now. Like I'm doing a lot of like mainline runs, but like the Ultimate series, which I've heard is great. Like that's so many. Like Black Panther just came out today, for that series, and I think every character has one coming out, and it's so much to like keep up with, and I like the random crossover, but I don't like all these series being one giant crossover. And so when I read this and I got to the end and realized, oh, there's a bunch of other series that are either came out at the same time, or are coming out that all have to do with this Redcoat guy. Like it kind of threw me off to not want to like stay with it.
Yeah.
With that said, I did really enjoy Redcoat. It was a fun read. Like you have this kind of this character that it's like his story is very fast paced. It kind of jumps through time because essentially what happens is he's a Redcoat and he's in America during the Revolutionary War. Ben Franklin's trying to get this like spell cast on him that makes him immortal. He gets in the way of the spell and he gets the immortality.
Oh no.
And so like
it
kind of jumped. Yeah, so he kind of like jumps through time a little bit just to kind of catch up to where he's at now. But yeah, it was really fast paced. It was it was a very captivating comic. And just the nice blending of different historical moments in America are in it, but also it's just like the main character's not like defined enough, and he doesn't feel like that unique of a character, but his story is pretty cool. So I did enjoy it, but I just don't know if I'm going to keep up with it because I don't want to get into another like Dead Lucky situation, because like I didn't realize Dead Lucky was part of the Radiant Black universe.
I did not either.
And so it's just like there's so much to like read for the Radiant Black universe alone, and that's also Image, and I'm just not a fan of that. But something else I'll talk about later. It's like I do like when there's 2 different series coming out that are kind of unrolling the yarn together.
Jeez, I wonder what you could be talking about.
Yeah, I mean it's just sitting over here on my left shoulder, but
yeah,
we'll get there.
We will get there. Yeah, it's understandable. I feel like I mean I picked up a comic last week that was celebrating its 40th year anniversary, and I thought it was its first. So like it just, that kind of stuff happens just because the world of comic is so big. It's easy to just get lost in, and like it says that logo on the front, but if you're not aware of the other stuff, you're thinking it's just a publisher or something like that, a sub pub,
right?
But speaking of comics that I enjoyed, but I am going to stick on, was Sonic the Hedgehog Fang the Hunter, issues number 2 and 3. I don't know if the main Sonic line is running currently because it's been a hot minute, but this is just this is hitting the spot. And I like to save up my comics for Saturday and Sundays. For the weekends, I like to wake up, take a nice hit of the bong, and then put on some music and then read some comics, and then wonder why I can't remember any of the comics names.
Do you have music of choice to listen to while you read comics, or you just
I mean,
anything?
it can't be anything with words, so it's got to be like lo-fi. And that's
Okay.
lo-fi is pretty much always my go-to for just background music. I mean, I'm listening to it currently. But yeah. I just really it's and again, like, I'm sure you can make a super cut of me like going back and forth in these statements, but like I do just love a comic that's just like we're just here to have fun,
Yeah.
And I think last week you said, I'm a little sour on comics, and I think part of it is just like I haven't had fun with a lot of them, and they've been good, but like a lot of the ones that I'm reading that I'm really enjoying, like even like Transformers is like kind of heavy. It's dealing with like parents dying and kids being in comas and like planetary warfare and the toll that it takes on human beings, and so like there's just the Dark Spaces Dungeons, like just there's heavy stuff out there that I'm reading, that Santa the Deviant, there's just heavy stuff out there that I'm enjoying, but it's nice to get like these palette cleansers where it's just like bright colors and characters being adorable,
Yeah.
So they're out looking for this 8th emerald that they believe exists. And Fang the Hunter, that's what he's trying to hunt down. Sonic's on his own little quest. It's just a fun little world. So I enjoy it.
I have a question I'm going to throw out to Ross if he's still with us, but
I hope he's still with us.
Does he have? I want to know, and you might have it too because you're a Sonic fan, but I don't. You might not have it because it's older. I think it's Sonic issue number 98. Is the introduction of Shadow.
Okay. The one with the gun.
Supposedly that is going to be a pretty big deal this year. That this guy that I follow on YouTube who like follows the trends of comics and whatnot, he was saying that probably one of the top 10 comics to collect this year is Sonic number 98.
Interesting. I mean, 98, like, are they saying that that's going to be the thing where he gets introduced, or it was the thing?
It was the thing. So like, I think it's
on like issue 64 right now. They're no.
I think it was the Archie run of comics, issue 98.
Yeah. Shadow's going to be in the next movie, so that's, I would imagine why that's probably going to be amping up a little. He'll get a lot more mainstream, because by the time Sonic was introduced, the only people that were really paying attention to Sonics were the people who were trying to just hope that a Sonic game would be good, and it never happened. But as somebody who like loved Sonic as a kid, they're not technically good games. There are good ones, but they're not the best games in the world. They're just they were the best of an era, and they haven't aged well.
They were the best that Sega had to offer.
Yeah.
Besides NBA,
which is why Sega's not a company anymore. I mean, they like not a they don't make their own hardware.
They're owned by Nintendo now.
Yeah, that's why. Anyways, do you want to do some more spot out? I got a couple more that I can talk about.
Yeah,
pretty
cool. So probably the closest thing I came to a banger of the week was Sacrificers number 7. So this is like the start of the second arc. It was just really cool to be like back in this world, and also that like this new arc it's just so like emotionally driven, just based on like how the first arc ended. Because we lost one of the main gods kind of in a horrific way, and then kind of the main protagonist, I would say, like gained godlike powers by accident. And it's narrated by the character that died in the at the end of the last arc. But yeah, it was just very good. Yeah, it was just like I said, like it was a very emotionally powerful comic. It was visually stunning. Like the art in it is really what keeps me on it. It's Rick Remender too, and so
Mm.
he also just, and I've seen this before with Rick, but like Rick has a way of like hiding any flaw that he would have in his stories.
Interesting. What do you mean by
I
that?
don't like. Okay, so for example, like probably my favorite series of all time is Righteous Thirst for Vengeance.
Right. Just
Our
thirst for vengeance.
yeah, our pal Kyle also read it and he didn't like it as much,
Hmm.
which is fine. He may have like noticed them, like whatever flaws there were, but it's really hard to like nitpick Rick's stories because he
Hmm.
just tells them so well. He works, he does everything through his giant generator label under Image, and so he just always has really good artists that he works for or that he works with that help
Hmm.
him tell the story he wants to tell. And so it's almost Sacrifices number 7 is like almost a flawless comic. Uh, any like I can't think of an actual flaw in it.
Well, what would keep it from being your banger of the week?
Um,
And it's just
like
like me to ask
so
negative questions.
as yeah, so as kind of like I think it's just because it was a really heavy comic. It wasn't like necessarily like exciting. It was cool to be back in the world, but like
It always is.
it was just a very emotionally heavy comic. Like the other one of the other main protagonists, who's the daughter of like the two main gods, she like has lost her godlike powers and she's like struggling, and it's like you feel bad for her. And then the other main character, who's the guy who gained the godlike powers, he's like not in it very much. Like it kind of touches on him towards the end. Uh, but it's more of just like watching him go down the old dusty trail, like off to
Mm.
whatever he's doing. And so there was a lot of like, you know, possible foreshadowing for like what's coming down the road, but it was a very heavy comic, and I read it, I loved it, but I also was just kind of like sad at the end of it.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, and again, that's kind of how I feel at the end of like Dark Spaces Dungeons. Is like I enjoy this, but I feel like bad that I'm enjoying it. Not bad, but it's just like it's just it's they're all heavy topics or whatever. At least like in this case it is.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, it's a very like it's just the series overall has been very compelling, and this is one that too I almost dropped, like
Mm-hmm.
because I've said this several times. I read the preview of issue 1, which was the first 8 to 10 pages or whatever it was, and I hated the second half of the first issue. And
Mm.
then issue 2 came out, and I was like, this is great. Issue 3 came out, it's getting better, and it just kept getting like better and more exciting. And so now it's just kind of at this kind of like plateau point where it's like setting things up for where the story's going, and so that's probably again like why it's not sitting at banger of the week for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. Alrighty. Well, I got a couple. Well, one more comic and then kind of something else. But I got into finally Grit and Gears, War Between the Dames,
Ooh,
which
is
is
this like a spinoff?
yeah, it's a one-shot spin-off. And it says it up here in the corner. One spot spin-off, $6. But it was worth it. I really Grit and Gears was like number 7 or something like that of my comics of last year's of 2023. Really
Yeah.
enjoyed the world. The idea is that like in the Industrial Revolution that they figured out like AI robots at that time, and so they're just kind of living in like this old-timey world, and there's tension between the robots and the humans are trying to kill off all the robots, and so they're kind of like an allegory for like the old west for the last gunslingers.
Okay.
um but in this there's a group of humans that are tracking down Autobots and or like these robots or whatever, destroying them and then using like selling their parts for just whatever. And so I mean, essentially to a robot that's like some sort of like butcher who's just like cutting up your friends and like shipping them off. One of the scenes is like this random robot getting like held under the arm of like the people who were doing this, and he's just watching his body get crushed. I'm like, oh, that's kind of dark, you know.
Yeah.
But it was like fun overall. The dames that are in the narrative is there's like this outlaw that runs this gang, and the gang is like of like 500 outlaws, and they're starting to notice that their numbers are dwindling because of these people, and so she goes and confronts them, and so they have a like a female robot who's on the covers, like this British like looking general thing or what have you, and that's they fight. And so yeah, it's one off. These aren't related, like the characters aren't related at all to the actual Grit and Gears story. So, and that's, I do love that for a good spin-off, is like just set it in the same universe and do something fun, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Nice.
yeah, I really enjoyed that comic. And do you mind if I keep going with just one more thing?
Yeah, go for it.
So I read, Sonic, and then or Fang. I feel it's weird calling it a Sonic because he's kind of side character to Fang the Hunter. But I read this, fun comic with that, and then another fun comic with Grit and Gears. And I was just like, you know what? I want fun comics, because I was looking at my stack, and it's like all just kind of heavy stuff. It's all like the
Yeah.
one hand and stuff like that I know is just kind of going to be like heavier. So I went back to my box. I don't know if you can see it sitting back here. Nah, no, nope, you can't. But you
No.
remember that box that I got, that half a long box for like $30 or whatever ridiculous price it
Yeah,
was?
that hell of a deal.
Mhm. So I went back and I was just like, I'm just looking through trying to find one shots that are like fun, or like 4-issue arcs that I can kind of dive into. And I pulled out 3 comics overall, like 3 different titles. The one I forget what it was because I didn't read it, but the other one was Nightwing, an annual,
Ooh.
devoured by
Yeah.
Vi
You got
devoured
some
by Fire.
DC.
Yeah, so I got some DC, and I got some more DC because I read Shazam. I actually got 4 comics. I just forgot about this one that was sitting down here. It just surprised me. Shazam, I forget when this one's called. From the pages of Teen Titans Academy. So I don't really know what that means. Uh, I just want everyone to be proud of me that I tried to read some DC, but I did not make it through either of these comics.
I'm
It is
proud of you.
it is not mostly not because of the comics. This is like a relationship ending thing where it's like, it's me. This is my fault. The Shazam one, I just couldn't get invested. And honest to God, I don't even really remember what the Nightwing thing was about. But
Well,
I
here's kind of 2 things I'll say about those 2 characters. I love
mm,
Nightwing.
mhm,
Anything that's part of like the Batman family, like I really enjoy. But it's just like there's so much Batman stuff out there. It's hard to keep up with all of it, and that's why we have pals like Andy who can catch us up on it.
yeah,
But like Shazam has never been like a drawing character for me. I've also attempted to read a few Shazam comics before, and it's like I got through them, but it was more of just like, okay, let's get this over with, and I was just
yeah.
like flipping through.
But let me say, I'd like both of them, like probably I will say like pretty equally, because it's not like I have like they're not like high up on my like favorite comic idea things. So
Yeah,
I'm like, I just want fun, and they were like, I could see how the people who are reading them would really enjoy them, is what I'll say. You know,
yeah.
you
Um,
know?
but like that's I don't know. That's the kind of thing too with DC for me. It's just there's Batman, and then there's everyone else, and
I mean, that's
it's
kind of how
like
DC just structures itself.
yeah, and it's like I really do enjoy Wonder Woman too.
Hmm.
But like, and then on my list is to Animal Man. I want to get caught up on Animal Man for the sake of our pal Eric.
Yep,
But
we'll do
also
it one day.
also it's just with James Gunn taking over DC, like I just think there's a lot to expect from them,
Hmm.
at least cinematically. If but he also like the dude's a massive comic collector.
Yeah.
I saw a thread of his where he was asked like what he collected from the new 52, and he bought every single new 52 series.
Oh,
I mean, he
geez.
can afford it. He's a Hollywood movie director,
Yeah.
but like all that stuff is going to influence what he's going to be doing with like the DC movies going forward. And
Right.
so, and Animal Man was one of his top series out of all the new 52. So I want to read that for the sake of Eric, because Eric loves him, and also because with James Gunn taking over DC, like there might be something to expect with Animal Man in the future of the DC films.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'd want to know that character. But you got anything else you want to shout out?
yeah, I got two more things. One is Torpedo 1972. If you want a fun series, and this, like, I'll say it's loosely fun because it's very violent
Okay.
with dark humor.
Yeah, it looks kind of like it
So
would be.
it's pretty uncomfortable, but like
Oh.
it's dark humor
Hmm.
story, and it's basically this old mafia dude that everybody knows as Torpedo. He's basically just going around because his crimes are being discovered, and he's killing people who have like figured out like, oh, he murdered their father,
Yeah.
so he killed all the sons because they were going to expose him. And this journalist found out a bunch of information about him and like put it out in the papers. So now he has a list of people he has to go and kill, but he's just like this old guy who just wants to be left alone. So like that's kind of like the funny side of it. But
Mm.
his actions and what he has to do to be left alone is murdering people.
Well, that's
But like honestly, it's like if you're a fan uh of good
you
grief,
got this.
The Godfather,
I
which I
am a fan of The Godfather.
you are, which that's Coppola.
Yep.
I would say,
Well,
and
he did
if
the
you're
movie.
yeah, he did the movie. If you're a fan of Coppola films, if you're a fan of Tarantino films, you'll probably really like Torpedo 1972.
Nice.
But the other thing that I read this week is The One Hand, issue number 3. Not as good as issue number 2. Issue number 2 of The One Hand, out of The One Hand and the Six Fingers, issue 2 of The One Hand has been my favorite so far.
Thing in
But
that universe.
yeah, and it's just the problem I'm having with The One Hand, and I kind of expect it to I expect the problem to be figured out because it's Rom V.
Hmm.
But like the main character Ari, just he's really obtuse. Like
That Ari
like
is the detective guy.
the detective, yeah. Like I just don't feel like I like know the character that well.
Mm.
And like what his drive is. Like yes, he's the guy who was on the case for the previous One Hand crimes, but like we know nothing of that, and we know nothing about Ari like from his past. And so I feel like the character is just kind of like thrown at us, but like the story is just really fun. Like it's really well written, and also just the art is really good as well. So I've been enjoying it. I like, and like I said earlier, I like that there's 2 series out threading together a story.
Yeah.
I've been enjoying it. It's not the greatest thing that's come my way, but I like that there's 2 different writers trying to tell one story from 2 different perspectives.
Yeah, I think that that's a really cool concept. I wish it was kind of a little bit more appealing to me. Not that it's not appealing. I wish it was more of a like. I just wish I would have been more grasped by it when I first read it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ross had said I added Boy Wonder to my pool list because of Junie Ba's artwork, and if you never read Tom King's Human Torch, you definitely should.
Human Target.
Human Target, not the
Yeah.
Human Torch. That's a different company. And then Eric said, think I know a certain writing duo that may have an animal film pitch in their back pocket. Do you
Oh,
hear
who could
that?
that be?
James Gunn, reach out to our pal Eric. I know you're watching. You're one of the 6 people watching right now.
Yeah.
He's
James Gunn's a big fan of the Pullbox Pals.
he tweets about him all the time.
He's actually floating us. So
Yeah, that's how we financially can do this. I just want to shout out real quick. I also read this book called Commander Rao, which was in my box. It's a one shot from Scout. It was about this like war. There was like this Captain America type character, but not strong. Just like this female lead who like was leading this army. She led this rebellion, but she died, and they didn't let her death be known to the public. And so this other girl who was like her lover picked up her identity, and like kind of took the war into her own hands, but all just for personal measures, to kind of for vengeance for lost love. But yeah, it was a fun read. I definitely
Yeah.
recommend checking that one out. But
I did just recall I read one more thing this week. I do have the physical copy, but it's Marvel, so I read it digitally. Um, I attempted to get caught up on Daredevil this week, and I only got one issue in, and I think it was issue 6, and it was She-Hulk was in it, and it was really fun because it's starting to come together, like what Daredevil's dealing with. So like kind of the backstory to this new series is Matt Murdock died and he somehow came back, but now he's no longer a lawyer. He's a priest who runs an orphanage. And a lot of people in his life have demons, and he figures out with She-Hulk that the demons he's dealing with are demons tied to the 7 sins. And
interesting.
so like when She-Hulk shows up, all she wants to do is go take Matt out to eat. And he figures out, oh, she has like the demon of gluttony in her. And
Nice.
it was really fun. And then just also, you know, the Christian background and foundation that I have, like, yeah, I've just really been enjoying Daredevil in this run. I can't remember who the writer is right now, but I'm yeah, because I read quite a bit of Zdarsky's run with Daredevil, but this one it's just a lot more fun to me, and it's you know, kind of like what we were talking about, just having kind of like these you know, the ginger to the sushi, like when you have a sushi platter and you need to have a piece of ginger before you change what sushi you eat. Daredevil's kind of been ginger for me.
Nice. That's
So
a fun analogy.
yeah,
Eric said that She-Hulk issue was sick, so much
yeah.
fun. A weird take on She-Hulk, though.
It was a little bit of a weird take on her, but because she was possessed by a demon, it kind of like made sense.
That's
Because
true.
like it did seem like really off. Because I've never like,
She's never been possessed by a demon before.
you
Normally,
know, I had a bunch. I've sold almost all of it, but and so I still have a few. But like that run of She-Hulk that lasted 60 issues, where like the first issue, the cover was like, if you don't buy this comic, I'm going to tear up your X-Men comics. And then
oh
at
yeah,
like the last issue cover was like, all right, give me those X-Men comics, I'm going to tear them up or whatever on the
yeah.
cover. Like I don't ever recall her in that run like having this massive appetite for food. And so like I kind of picked up on it as I was reading. I was just like, okay, something's going on with She-Hulk that she just like wants to keep like eating. And then it came out that she had the demon of gluttony about her, and Matt Murdock had to not be Daredevil, but had to be
Priest Devil,
Father Matt
Devil.
Murdock.
Oh, I like Father Devil.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds. I like that. And also, fun fact. I don't know which came worse first, but there is a correlation between the word demon and abdomen, because a lot of our thoughts get perpetuated in our stomach and brought up into our brains, and so that's where they thought demons came from, was your belly,
Huh.
which makes sense.
Interesting.
Yep. So
And that's been your educational 30 seconds with Monk.
yep, there you go. Your kind of like esoteric wisdom. There you go.
Yeah.
Let's land this plane before the doors fly off and then
Let's
turn
land
into
it.
whatever.
I wanted to take a quick peek at what I got coming next week,
Oh,
because next week's my birthday week.
oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I got a big list. I got the Agent coming out, Almost Dead. So Agent number 5, Almost Dead number 2, Animal Pound number 3, Blow Away number 1 from Boom Studios. Oh, I got a couple Booms coming. I got The Displaced number 3 as well.
These
Moon
are all
Man number
comics I'm not
2.
reading.
Yeah,
My
Star
goodness.
Wars Mace Windu number 3 and You and I number 3. So I'm looking forward to that list.
There's so many comics.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's gonna be a fun week.
If you want to see what I'm reading next week, stay for after the outro. I'll give you a little sizzle.
A little sizzle.
Okay.
Well, if you stayed with us, Eric and Ross, thank you so much. if you're watching this later or listening later, thank you for taking the time out of your day to just hang with us. Hit us up on Instagram at the pullboxpals. You can find us on most social media platforms there.
Mhm.
You can find me at Matt_nerdy. You can find Monk at that Monk Guy 89 on Instagram.
Yes, sir.
We love chatting comics. We have had a busy start to the spring season for both of us, so we're not as active, but we are trying to be.
We're trying. We promise. We're still getting videos up and all that stuff. And maybe there might be some dip on that, but we'll see. Try not to.
But yeah, make sure to like and subscribe, ding that bell if you're watching on YouTube. And just engage with us. We love it, and hope you all have a good day. And I'm gonna pass it over to Monk for.
And I'm gonna say, embrace your inner comic.
Boom.
Ginger. I
Ginger.
was gonna say sweet paprika, but then you started talking about ginger, so now I brought up ginger. And also, do you like this little? They actually put like a ginger in there amongst like it's all just.
I mean, if you search ginger on Google, you're bound to get a redhead. So
well, that's exactly what I did. So that's not the best outro we've ever done. Bye, everybody. This is like that. What was the worst post-credit scene? Let's do that real quick. What's the worst post-credit scene? Probably the Eternals that I've never seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go on that one. All right. Bye.
Bye.